China sneaking their way somewhere else. I saw they struck a deal with the Taliban of some kind. That's freaking wonderful. What are they dealing on?
Yeah, so they made a very, very big deal, $500+ million deal with the Taliban. They're going to explore an untapped oil and gas field in the very far north of the country, next to the border of Tajikistan. So this is a big deal in that they're going to get about $150 million a year for the next 3 years. That is to say, the Chinese are giving this to the Taliban. Then it's going to increase up to $500+ million a year thereafter for 25 years. That's the nuts and the bolts of the deal. But the big money on this one is if there is a natural gas field where they're exploring, which indeed there is one in Tajikistan. The question, does it extend into Afghanistan? Well, if it does, then that is a major gusher for the Taliban. Then the question becomes, what do they do with all that money? Well, we know in the past they'd like to sponsor jihad both regionally and globally. So we could be looking at a serious problem here in terms of Islamic terror raising its head in the years and decades to come.
Bryan, let's stay on that for a second, because the Taliban, I'm not familiar with, what are they going for as a government? I know all the news. I know they're radical Islamists. I know women aren't allowed to go to school. I know it sucks. Like, I get all that. All that stuff is built in. But when I think of the Taliban, I think of obviously a radical group of basically tribal fighters, but now they're in charge of the entire nation. Are they building a legitimate government? I hate to even use that word because they suck, but are they building a government? Is that what they are now? What are they doing?
Well, they are certainly trying to become certainly more legitimate in the eyes of the people. But I think if you really step back and you look at their ideology, the goal here is to create an Islamic caliphate, not just in Afghanistan, but to create an entire globe full of people who are Muslim and follow very strict Sunni beliefs of that faith. So they have been knocked out of that the sort of goal here in the last 10, 20 years because of our global war on terror. But now that they have this home base reestablished, that remains their goal. Their ideology hasn't changed. So now you combine the ideology with hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, particularly with this gas field. Now that is a very combustible combination. So right now, yes, the Taliban is slowly getting back to the point where they can govern that country. Hasn't gone well for them for the past year, but they are getting better. Now with all of this additional money, they can get back to what they really want to do, which is jihad.
Okay, you said that it hasn't gone well for them. Are there still opposition forces of any significance within Afghanistan, or is it just the Taliban's country now and we should write it off?
So two very small groups. One we definitely don't want to associate with. It's ISIS-K. They are about 3,000 different fighters. They absolutely hate the Taliban because they want them to be even more radical, more extreme. So those are definitely bad guys. There's another very small group of folks that we used to work with. They're up way north. They're probably in the low hundreds in terms of fighters. So that is who we connected with back in 2001 to start the war in Afghanistan. There are still some small pockets of resistance, but not many left.